A tiny puppy had been abandoned alone in a cardboard box on a crowded city street when Ginger, an orange female cat, discovered him there. What happened next will really amaze you. A baby puppy was sitting by himself and abandoned in a cardboard box on a packed sidewalk when someone unexpected found him. Ginger, an orange cat who lived happily with her human family nearby, was on her usual morning walk when she spotted the cardboard box. The softest whimpering sounds got her attention, and Ginger came closer to see what was making the sound. When she looked inside the box, she found a small brown and black puppy looking back at her with frightened eyes. The little guy was way too young to be away from his mother and was shaking from the cold air. Ginger, who had just had 4 kittens herself, felt her motherly feelings kick in and climbed into the box to comfort the scared pup. The orange cat softly curled herself around the shaking little body, holding the puppy tight just like she did with her own babies. The frightened pup relaxed, his whimpering stopped as he felt the heat, and soon he drifted off to sleep peacefully. The loving cat stayed right beside the pup until the sun rose high in the sky. When it got too warm for them to remain in the box, the cat began crying loudly at people walking by, hoping someone would see them and give help. Sadly, because of all the sounds from the busy street, no one heard the noises coming from the box, and as the heat kept getting worse, the orange cat made a choice that would completely transform her life, her owners' lives, and the puppy's future. The cat got up, stretched her body, then carefully lifted the small pup with her mouth. She carried him as softly as she would carry her own kittens and started the journey back to her home. The apartment where the orange tabby lived with her family was only a few blocks away, and they got there quickly, arriving home several hours before Ginger's owners returned from their jobs. The cat usually went outside using the fire escape, and she climbed up carefully, being extra careful with the precious little one she was carrying. Once they both crawled through the window, they heard meowing sounds and rushed to where the mother's kittens were resting in the box her owners had prepared for the small cat family. The cat, right away, placed the puppy down on the soft blanket, and the kittens stopped their mewing, looking confused and excited by the new animal that had come to their home. Ginger watched anxiously as her kittens came closer, moving unsteadily as they curiously examined their new friend. The puppy, who had been taken from his real family way too early, was content, and within moments the 4 kittens and the pup were playing together inside the box. The orange tabby watched as the group got to know each other, and when it was time to feed the kittens, their mother did something quite amazing. When the cat lay down and called to her kittens with gentle meows, they gathered around her. The little pup, though, stayed far away, not knowing what he should do. It had been a long time since the puppy had eaten anything, and since he couldn't eat regular food and was separated from his mother, the dog was very hungry. While the kittens were nursing, the small animal watched with confusion and hunger until the mother cat did something incredible. After one of her kittens finished eating, Ginger used her paw to softly pull the small dog to the empty spot. With some gentle encouragement, the dog started nursing too. Right at that moment, the front door opened, and the cat's owners, Jake and Emma, came inside. Jake and Emma loved animals deeply and regularly helped out and gave money to local animal shelters in the area. Ginger herself had come from one of these shelters when her former owner gave her up to the veterinarian, unable to pay for the care needed for a pregnant cat. The orange tabby had found a caring and loving family for herself and her babies, and she hoped the couple would be willing to take in the dog as well. They could hear footsteps as the couple moved around the house, speaking quietly to each other as they did their usual activities. "How was your day, honey?" Jake asked as they settled in. Emma walked around the kitchen, and Ginger's ears perked up when she heard the sound of a can opening. The orange tabby's human always gave her food when they came home from work, and she sat up excitedly, looking at the small group of sleeping kittens and the dog lying in the corner of the box. Emma came around the corner making a soft clicking noise to call the cat over. "Come here, Ginger," she called gently. Usually, the orange cat would always run to greet the woman with excitement. Today, however, there was no sound of little paws, and the woman looked worried as she slowly walked toward the box. "That's strange," Emma murmured to herself. Ginger and her kittens had visited the vet for a checkup the day before, but Emma couldn't stop wondering if something might be wrong. As the woman got closer to the box, she was relieved to see that the mother cat was lying safely in the corner, looking back and forth between the babies and Emma as she got down on the floor. Even though Ginger was nervous about how her owner would react, the thought of food was too tempting, and the cat hurried over as the bowl was set down just outside the box. The cat began eating hungrily, stopping every so often to check on her precious babies as they slept inside the warm blanket that had been given to them. The vet had told Emma that she could check on the kittens when possible, but she shouldn't disturb them if Ginger didn't want her to. The woman looked down at the tabby eating nearby and slowly reached toward the kittens to test her reaction. The orange tabby trusted her owner and didn't mind, continuing to eat while Emma smiled and focused completely on checking the small kittens. All the kittens appeared to be sleeping soundly, and Emma gently petted each of their heads with love. It wasn't until she tried to pet a fifth head that the woman stopped, feeling confused and puzzled. "Wait a minute," she whispered to herself. Ginger had only had 4 kittens, and neither she nor Jake had given the cat family a toy that looked like another cat. The woman knew that Ginger would leave through the window when she and her husband went to work, and Emma started to worry that maybe another cat had snuck in while the kitten's mother was away. The woman took out her phone, crouching down low enough to put her hand inside the box while she turned on the flashlight, looking anxiously around the space. She thought she would find another cat hiding in the blankets with the kittens. What she discovered, however, was much more surprising than she could have ever imagined. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. The dog had just woken up from sleeping when something unusual happened, and Emma shouted loudly for her husband. "Jake, come here now," she yelled with fear in her voice. Jake ran fast to his wife, asking what was wrong as Ginger moved her food bowl away and hurried inside to protect the small dog. Emma stepped back quickly, not wanting to do anything that might scare or upset the mother cat, and she stared in complete wonder as the dog snuggled into the warm orange fur, just as her husband came down to sit with her on the floor. The couple gasped in surprise as a tiny pair of brown eyes stared up at them with interest. The puppy was happy to meet people who could become new friends and crawled toward them eagerly. Ginger watched from nearby, keeping her careful, watchful eyes on the little creature as Emma reached out slowly, lifting the small animal and holding it against her chest. The puppy made a small whimpering sound before snuggling in the woman's arms, looking up at the couple while his new mother watched him closely with fear and worry. Jake and Emma were totally shocked by the puppy's sudden appearance. While they knew that Ginger often went outside through the window, the fire escape was much too high for such a tiny animal to have climbed up alone. The small dog made another quiet whining sound, and the orange cat moved closer, softly touching the woman's arm with her paw. Ginger wanted her baby given back to her immediately. The woman quickly understood and put the small pup back on the floor, watching with total amazement as the mother cat came over, licking the top of the dog gently before carefully picking him up and carrying him back inside. The mystery of how the dog got inside was now solved for Jake and Emma, but another big question still needed an answer. Where had the dog come from originally? Jake, who worked doing billing at a nearby veterinary clinic, quickly stood up and grabbed his cell phone. He called his boss, asking if there had been any reports of missing puppies in their area recently. The woman who answered the phone told Jake that while nobody had reported missing puppies, they were hearing about dogs being found in cardboard boxes, garbage cans, and even a basket that was left outside the animal shelter. "It's the end of January," she explained to Jake over the phone. "People who bought puppies as Christmas gifts for their children often give them away when they realize how much work and effort owning a dog really takes." The veterinarian told Jake that all the dogs they had found were being checked by doctors, and strongly suggested that the couple bring in the small pup as soon as they could. A medical checkup was needed to make sure the animal was healthy, and both Jake and Emma quickly agreed without any doubt. After Jake finished the call, Emma tried to pick up the pup again, planning to put him in the carrier they sometimes used for Ginger and her kittens. Ginger, however, didn't like the idea of being separated from her new baby, and the usually calm and gentle cat hit Emma's hand away when she tried to take the pup. The woman pulled her hand back quickly. She wasn't hurt, and while Emma had expected this kind of reaction, the pup couldn't stay at their house without being checked by the vet first. This was important for the small dog's health as well as for the orange tabby cat and her kittens. If the dog was sick with something, the kittens could catch the same sickness too. Because of her experience volunteering at the animal shelter, however, Emma knew exactly what to do in this type of situation. The woman had seen this same situation many times when mothers and their babies were brought to the shelter for medical care. Often, the mothers wouldn't let the rescue workers touch their babies at all. When this happened, the workers would put food or special treats inside the carrier, and when the babies went inside to get the treat, the mother would follow them in. The pup was too little to eat much solid food, but Jake had bought some pureed chicken cat treats for Ginger, and Emma grabbed one from the shelf and opened it very carefully. The orange tabby lifted her head with clear interest, smelling the delicious treat. The pup raised his head too, and after seeing his new mother's reaction, walked carefully forward, wanting the delicious treat for himself. Emma smiled to herself and made gentle, soft sounds to the dog, placing the treat just inside the carrier. "Come on, little one," she whispered very softly. The small animal kept walking forward with caution, and when his paws stepped into the carrier and he went inside, his adoptive mother stood up and followed her newly adopted baby in a protective way. As soon as both were inside safely, the woman closed the carrier door and handed it to her husband. Jake would take the cat and her new son to get checked, while Emma stayed home to watch and care for the kittens. The carrier was quickly placed into the couple's car, and within just a few minutes the three of them left for Jake's workplace. As soon as they arrived at the clinic, they were brought to an examination room. The woman in charge had been warned about the unusual situation with Ginger and the puppy. She still found herself completely shocked when she opened the carrier. Jake had told her that the mother cat and the pup had settled down about halfway through the car ride, and when the woman looked inside, the reason for their quiet behavior became very clear. Just like they had done when they were resting inside the cardboard box, the orange tabby had wrapped herself around her small charge, keeping him warm and comfortable during the 45-minute drive to the clinic. The veterinarian had heard about cats and even dogs sometimes adopting a baby that wasn't their own, but she had never actually seen it happen herself in person. The woman was filled with complete wonder at the sight before her eyes. She carefully reached into the carrier, taking the small dog from his adoptive mother's embrace, while the cat continued sleeping peacefully. Ginger had experienced a lot that day and kept sleeping as the vet started examining the small pup very thoroughly. The woman quickly discovered that the small animal was a German Shepherd puppy, about 6 weeks old. This discovery was worrying and very concerning. Usually, puppies shouldn't be taken away from their mother before they are at least 8 weeks old. After several more tests, it was determined that while the small dog wasn't in immediate danger, he was underweight and missing some of the important nutrients he should have gotten from his real mother. All of this could easily be fixed by giving the German Shepherd puppy a milk substitute on a regular basis. The animal would live a long and happy life thanks to Ginger's quick discovery and loving care for the small pup. Jake was absolutely thrilled at this good news. He had spent some time playing with the small creature who, after his nap, had started to become much more playful and full of energy. Ginger wasn't the only one who had grown attached to the puppy, and Jake quickly refused the idea of giving the tiny shepherd to the animal shelter. The veterinarian was pleased at this news and admitted to Jake that the local shelter was already completely full to capacity. Besides, the vet explained, due to his early separation from his mother, socialization will be absolutely critical to this dog's development and recovery. It's unlikely he would receive such individual attention at the shelter. Jake quickly agreed, and while he waited for the vet to get the milk substitute and care instructions, he chose a name for the newest member of their family. Because of the brown, shaggy fur covering the pup's entire body, Jake decided to call him Scout, and was holding him gently when Ginger finally woke up, meowing loudly when she realized Scout was missing from her side. "It's okay, girl," Jake said softly to calm her down. "He's right here with me, safe and sound." Jake quickly reacted and opened the carrier door again, placing the shepherd puppy back inside. Scout's new mother immediately relaxed, carrying her newest baby to the back of the carrier, where she began grooming him carefully, her tongue cleaning him with all the love and care she showed her own kittens. Jake thanked the vet gratefully and brought the pair home, where, as soon as they were let out, Ginger carried her precious charge back into the crate. Scout was excited to see his new brothers and sisters again, and the group played happily while Jake told Emma about the veterinarian's findings and recommendations. After several months of love and care from both his new owners and his adoptive mother, Scout has grown into a happy and healthy 1-year-old who, after such a difficult and challenging beginning, has found a loving, permanent home. While cats and dogs are often thought of as natural enemies, Ginger's intervention and love for Scout possibly saved his life, showing that a mother's love can overcome any obstacles or challenges. Did you like this story? Would you have adopted Scout as well? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe and hit the like button. Love knows no limits. Sometimes the family we need comes to us when we don't expect it. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Have a wonderful day.